good, Roughnecks and XFL fans? Welcome back to the Rough 'em Up podcast. I'm your host, CULLEN Watkins, and today is a very special episode. This video you're watching right now, right now, is the very first episode of the XFL offseason. Now, me and Arlington had a great time those 11 to 12 weeks covering the Houston Roughnecks weekly. It was a blast, but hey, like we promised, we're bringing y'all off-season content, and it starts with today's episode, which, as the title gives, you clicked on this video for a reason. All right, I'm not going to play dumb. I will be ranking the top 10 quarterbacks that we saw play in the XFL in 2023, the 2023 XFL season. No 2020 guys, all 2023 quarterbacks. The top 10 guys. Now, you may be saying, Colin, there's 8 teams, and you're going to be ranking 10? Yep, you're damn right I am. I have guys in this list who didn't play a lot, but they played, and they played good, so I put them in the top 10, all right? So with that being said, if you have any disagreements with me, put them in the comments down below. I want to hear you. I want to argue with you. I want to debate with you. I want to hear your thoughts. And while you're down there, hit that subscribe button and hit that like button too, because, hey, you don't want to miss the premier Roughnecks podcast on YouTube. You're watching the premier Roughnecks podcast on YouTube for the XFL, all right? So make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any of the videos, because I'm not just doing Roughnecks stuff this offseason. I'm doing XFL stuff. If you're an XFL fan, you're at the right place. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. But anyways, quick disclaimer before we get into the top 10. All these guys, even out of the top 10, all these XFL quarterbacks I have so much respect for, all right? So just because I don't rank a guy or I rank him pretty low or whatever does not mean I have anything personal against the guy. It does not mean I think the guy performed bad. It's just they're not top 10 in my opinion, and that's okay. So I just want to give a quick disclaimer about that since I don't want to hear anything about it. And two, how did I rank these guys? Well, I looked at stats, postseason and regular season stats. Postseason success, how did they lead their team in the postseason? Team situation, so if a quarterback performed well in a bad team, I'm still going to rank that quarterback high, all right, even though they didn't have the team success, still going to rank them high. And two, just, overall progression throughout the season and throughout the career. Did they put up better numbers than they did in 2020 and 2021? So I also looked at that. It was sort of a cumulative thing of all 4 of those aspects I'm going to be looking at. But y'all are probably sick of hearing me talk about all this nonsense. We're going to go straight to number 10. This may surprise a lot of people. I'm probably going to get a lot of hate for this, but I'm fine with that, all right? From the Orlando Guardians and San Antonio Brahmas, I have the number 10 quarterback in the XFL in 2023, the 6'7", former first-round pick, PAXTON LYNCH. Now, a lot of y'all may be saying, okay, Colin, he barely played. He played at the beginning of the season, and he never saw the field again. Why, you may ask? I have no idea, because I didn't pay attention, but the stats he put up when he did play, whew, good. I mean, he finished the 2023 season, 65 for 109, throwing for 737 yards, 4 touchdowns and 1 interception. He also had 1 rushing touchdown in those numbers, too. And that's respectable. That's very respectable, especially compared to how he played for the I believe it's for the Michigan Panthers in the USFL last year. He looked really good, and he's only 26. And he had a great game. Like, his best game was Week 4 against Houston. He went 18 for 30, 267 yards, and 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. Paxton, he showed flashes of a really good quarterback, but sadly, he was, for some reason, waived from Orlando. I believe it may have been Week 5, or it says April 5th, he was waived, and then he was immediately picked up by the San Antonio Brahmas, but he never played again. PAXTON LYNCH never saw the field after getting waived by the Orlando Guardians. Now, I'm fine with him getting waived by Orlando. They had DeAndre Francois, QUINTEN, DORMADY, whatever. But for him not to play in San Antonio? San Antonio could have used a guy like PAXTON LYNCH at least once after they picked him up. All right, I'm going to be real honest. But, okay, sure, there may have been other off-field issues or maybe injury or just disagreements with Paxton and the coaching staff. I don't know. I'm not going to make any assumptions about that, but man, it's sort of a big what if for San Antonio. They were a field goal away from making the XFL playoffs, could Paxton Lynch have saved them from that situation? That's what I'm thinking of if I'm a San Antonio fan. But overall, Paxton, he showed great improvement from the USFL last year, and he looked really good. I'm proud to say he definitely went above my expectations for him. If he comes back to the XFL, I'd love for him to start again and prove himself again because he has a lot of talent, a lot of potential. He's a first-round pick for a reason. Sure, he may not have lived up to that in his career, but everyone has their own timetable, right? So I'd love to see Paxton come back, and I think he could really do a lot. So that's it. Number 10, Paxton Lynch. Coming in at number 9, we have another San Antonio Brahma. We have the 24-year-old Jack COAN. Now, Jack played a little bit more than Paxton Lynch did for San Antonio, which is why I have him ranked above Paxton Lynch, even though the stats, they look a little off, but I'll tell you why I ranked COAN so high. First of all, his 2023 stats, 158 for 254 passing, 1,471 passing yards, 6 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, also picking up 108 rushing yards. All right, it's nothing special by any means, right? But you have to look deep into his situation on the Brahmas. First of all, COAN, he is a pure rookie. He never played in a professional league besides this one. All right, you have that going against him. And when you're playing in an O-line as bad as San Antonio's, you have no chance to have a lot of time in that pocket and make a good, solid throw, all right? COAN was always pressured, especially against teams like the Roughnecks or like a team like St. Louis, DC, or the Roughnecks, an elite defense. COAN had no time. But that makes his stats look even more impressive. At the end of the season, he started to look really good. That last game against DC, where they were a field goal away from beating DC and going into the XFL playoffs, COAN put up 34 for 48 passing, 312 yards and no touchdowns, but no interceptions. He moved the ball. And that was week 10. I believe week 9 he also put up another good performance. As the season went on, he progressed, and he progressed well. So that's why I ranked him at number 9 instead of like Paxton Lynch at number 9. I think COAN is a better quarterback, or he played better than Paxton Lynch, giving COAN's situation. Now, I'll tell you this. I believe COAN got invited to a NFL trained, like a rookie mini camp, whatever. So whatever happens with that, okay, it happens. But I hope he comes back, because being only 24 years old, this league, this XFL, is for a player like him. And if he comes back, especially to San Antonio under Hines Ward, and he already knows that offense, San Antonio fans should be really happy, because COAN, I think he's sort of the answer long-term for San Antonio. He may not have been the answer for the 2023 season by any means, but I'm really excited for Jack. I think he has a lot of potential, so I really hope he comes back and plays for San Antonio, because, those stats, 6 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, 1,471 yards, it's not bad for a rookie. He's 24 years old, all right, and he's playing against NFL linebackers pretty much. So I was impressed by him, especially as the season went on. A lot of great improvements, so that's why I have Jack COAN at number 9. Coming in at number 8, I have a curveball for y'all, all right? I have, for the DC Defenders, not Jordan Ta'amu, I have D'Eriq King coming in at number 8. Now, I know a lot of y'all may get mad at this, because he didn't play pretty much at all. But what we did see of him, I think he's a number 8 quarterback in the XFL. I was very impressed with D'Eriq King. He could have started for Ta'amu, and I still think that DC team would have made it to the championship. All right, I have that much faith into what D'Eriq King was able to do. But let's take a look at his stats, all right? He only passed 25 times in the whole season, but he completed 17 of those for 184 yards, 4 touchdowns, and 1 interception. You have that. And he had 5 rushing touchdowns for 102 rushing yards. So clearly his passing yards and rushing yards, they weren't high, but his touchdowns are high. So what does that tell us? Well, he was a red zone quarterback, especially at the beginning of the season. That role sort of went away as Ta'amu and Coach Barlow started to trust Ta'amu more. But even as the season went on, we still saw D'Eriq King in the red zone, and he made plays. He is a playmaker. So I'm real excited for him, because if he comes back next season, especially for the DC Defenders and that DC team, most of them come back, folks, I'm telling you now, D'Eriq King, he is a great quarterback, and I think he is definitely a number 8 quarterback in the league. He is. His stats and the times he has played are phenomenal. He is a playmaker. He uses his feet. He can pass the ball well from what we've seen. Come next year, I think I have it written down right here, he can be a top 4 quarterback by the end of the 2024 XFL season. No doubt about it. D'Eriq King, he should be starting next season. He should be starting, hopefully, for the DC Defenders if Tiamu gets picked up. But even if it's not for DC, it's going to be a criminal offense if D'Eriq King does not start for a team next year. He has proved himself too much to not start, put up way too good of stats. That's why I have him at number 8. His potential is through the charts. He's only 25 years old. Start this man next season. Pick him up, San Antonio, someone, Orlando. Pick D'Eriq King up if you can, because from what I've seen, from what we've seen, D'Eriq King has one of the highest ceilings in the XFL. He just didn't really get to show it a lot. I really wish we were able to see him play a game without Tiamu. I really have nothing else to say about that. D'Eriq King, number 8. Not sponsored. Coming in at number 7 from the Las Vegas Vipers, we have JALAN McClendon. I felt really bad for ranking him this low, actually, because I'm a huge fan of JALAN McClendon. For those who don't know, he was a 3rd-string quarterback at the beginning of the season. He was a 3rd string. And then he finished the season looking like a all-XFL caliber player. And I mean that. That's not an exaggeration in my opinion. And he looked really good. Diving into the stats, he was 67 for 112 passing, threw for 873 yards, 5 touchdowns, 1 interception, also picking up 137 rushing yards. He did all of that in the final 4 games of the season. Final 4 games where, who did he play in the final 4 games? The Houston Roughnecks and, more in specific, the St. Louis Battlehawks. 2 great defenses, and he put up great numbers. And he was a 3rd string. The only reason, though, that I ranked him so low on this list, he didn't play enough. He did not play enough. If he played a full season, he would be a top 4, top 3 quarterback based on how he was playing. But this only means one thing. That next season, if he comes back to the Las Vegas Vipers, which I really hope he does. I mean, he's still young. He's 27 years old. He's going to lead this team to a better record than what they did in 2023, all right? Ron Woodson, whenever I went to a press conference with Ron Woodson in it, he always praised McClendon, but Woodson said that McClendon at the end of the day is just a baby. He has no experience. He's still young. He's raw talent. He needs to be honed. He needs to be chipped in a bit in order to really polish up his stuff. And I think that's where next season comes in, where we can see a polished JALAN McClendon. And watch out. A polished JALAN McClendon based on what we saw of him the final 4 games of the XFL season. Man, I'm nervous. I'm nervous for those Northern Division opponents because JALAN, man, he could use his feet. He could throw well. He was a good decision maker. But he was sadly limited by a Las Vegas team, a poor Las Vegas team. Anyways, yeah, I wanted to put JALAN McClendon higher, but I just couldn't because he only played 4 games. But the 4 games he did play, he tore it up. So, number 7, JALAN McClendon of the Las Vegas Vipers. Coming in at number 6, we have a very familiar name, a very familiar face here on the channel. I probably just gave it away, but we have at number 6 for the Houston Roughnecks, quarterback Brandon Silvers. Now, Silvers is an interesting case because he started off this season MVP caliber. MVP stats he was putting up. He looked good. Oh, man, he looked good. And I'm not saying he didn't look good in the second half of the season. It's just you could tell something was wrong, whether it was with the team or himself, mechanics, whatever. But I actually have 2 theories, or 3 theories, because it could be a mix of the 2 theories I have. But let me tell you the stats first. For the 2023 season, Silvers went 156 for 262 on completion, 1,551 passing yards, 13 touchdowns, and 9 interceptions. It's good, but it's not MVP level that he was putting up at the beginning of the season, right? So what happened? We saw 2 different Brandon Silvers this season. I'll tell you what me and Arlington believe happened. First of all, you will notice for the Roughnecks and Brandon Silvers, the team changed and Silvers' stats changed and demeanor just changed, it seemed, when we lost our star wide receiver, Jontre Kirkland, against the Seattle Sea Dragons, I believe week 5, due to a chest injury. Because we lost our number 1 deep threat. We didn't have a deep threat after we lost Kirkland. He was missed deeply, and it shows in the stats. Silvers, in his first 4 weeks, he threw for 1,189 yards and 11 touchdowns in 4 weeks. That was with Jontre Kirkland. Week 5 onwards, without Jontre Kirkland, he threw for only 384 yards and 2 touchdowns. That's a major difference. That's statistically significant, as my stats teacher in high school would probably be proud of me to say. Clearly there was something wrong, and 2, after the Kirkland injury, Silvers, according to him and some of the team, said that he was also dealing with a arm injury. I know I talked with Evan Wilsmore about it. Evan, shout out to Evan, great guy, covers the Roughnecks. He was on the channel, but me and him were talking about that Silvers injury as well. So I think I'm going to put it to losing your star wide receiver and dealing with the arm injury. Those 2 things combined, that's why we saw the stat drop off. It was not Silvers himself. Silvers in those first 4 weeks, man, I've never seen him look so good, and I've been following him ever since 2020. I've never seen him play so good. So for that reason, I'm ranking him at number 6, because a lot of stuff out of his control happened. And before any of that happened, he was an MVP caliber player. People were literally talking about him being an MVP or Offensive Player of the Year before the Kirkland injury and his arm injury. And then we started to see more Cole McDonald and whatnot. But we're not talking about the Roughnecks specifically on this video. But only time will tell with what we see from him. I don't know if he's coming back. I'm trying to get him on an interview for the channel, so I'm excited about that. But I do hope he does come back, because I think he does have something to prove. There's a lot of factors out of his control happened, and I feel bad about that. So I want to see him come back. I want to see him come back to Houston and play at the Rig, TDCU Stadium. But only time will tell, where he goes. But number 6, Brandon Silvers. We are breaking to our top 5. So here we are, the top 5 quarterbacks, in my opinion, of the 2023 XFL season. At number 5, I don't know. I think a lot of y'all may disagree with this, but I'm a big fan of this guy. QUINTEN DORMADY for the Orlando Guardians. For being a, what were they, a 1-9 team, he didn't really play like a 1-9 quarterback, and I think a lot of y'all can't agree with me. For the 2023 season, Dormady put up, completion-wise, he went 140 for 205, pretty solid. 1,507 passing yards, 10 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, while also getting 4 rushing touchdowns. Dormady, after the whole playbook scare, whatever that was, where they thought he was stealing or giving the playbook away to San Antonio, he went off. He went on a redemption tour. He went on a revenge tour. He was pissed off, you could tell, and he played like it. He played very good, given the situation that he was in Orlando, because Orlando was a mess, all right? They got their stuff together a little bit at the end of the season, but they were a mess, right? But Dormady, he still led the team pretty well, and he got some close games, and he got the win against DC too, which was DC's only loss. In that DC game, he threw for 3 touchdowns and multiple rushing touchdowns, 328 passing yards. he looked really good. And after that game, sure, he didn't live up to that level of play every week, but he was still really solid. His decision-making got better. His throws got better. He became a very solid quarterback. And with that being said, well, first of all, they couldn't get the job done, I think, mostly because of defense. Orlando, the worst defense in the league. It's hard as an offense, especially as a quarterback, to put all that pressure on yourself to win games. So it is Orlando's defense a lot that contributes to that 1-9 record. But I want to see Dormady come back. I can't remember if he recently got contacted by some NFL teams, but he should. He's a good quarterback. But if he does come back, especially to Orlando, which I'd love to see him do, he's only going to get better. All right, he's only going to get better. He showed great improvement in the 2023 season, so I can't wait to see his improvements this offseason and going into whether it's the NFL season or the XFL season 2024. So number 5, Quinten Dormady. I know some of y'all may disagree with me on this, but hey, the stats show that given he was on a 1-9 team, he still balled out, especially against DC. So number 5, Quinten Dormady for the Orlando Guardians. So coming in at number 4, you know how I said at the beginning of the podcast, I looked at playoff performance, right? This is what I'm talking about at number 4, because we have Luis Perez at number 4. He played for Las Vegas Vipers at the beginning of the season and then traded to the Arlington Renegades, where he won them a championship, all right? He won the XFL championship MVP. He went off. In the playoffs, he went off. He threw, I believe, let me see the stats here. In the semifinal game against Houston, he threw for 289 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, 126-11. In the championship against DC, considered to be one of the best defenses in the league, threw for 288 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, and won them the championship. He went 6-0 when it comes to like touchdown interception ratios against 2 of the top defenses in the whole league. That right there makes him automatically a top 5 quarterback in my opinion. But I have him ranked number 4 because I think the 3 guys next to him are better, like slightly better, because Perez's stats in Las Vegas really made me rank him a little bit lower than I wanted to. But if he played with the Renegades and played like the Renegades did in the championship and the playoffs the whole season, he would have been a top 3 quarterback. He would have led the league in some sort of passing statistic. But I think we're going to find something out, though, next season, because I don't know what Perez is going to do. He could get picked up by an NFL team. He could get picked up by or stay with the Arlington Renegades. If he does stay with the Renegades, we're going to be seeing one thing. We're going to be seeing if the playoff run was a fluke. Did they get hot at the right time? Or 2, that playoff run was legit. I think it was legit. That Renegades team looked elite. They would beat any team in the league during those playoffs. And it's because of Perez. Perez opened that offense up. And I forgot to go over his stats in 2023. He completed 149 for 224. Not bad. Threw for 1,636 passing yards, 15 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. That's not bad at all. Most of those touchdowns did come from his time in Las Vegas, and Las Vegas so had a losing record during Perez's stint. But he made up for it when he won a championship and brought it to a 4-6 Arlington team. He was clearly the game changer. He was the X Factor. Give him the X Factor in Madden. He'd have the X Factor logo there. But, man, Luis Perez, he finally got his championship. He's a great quarterback. The spring king of football. I'll probably do a deep dive analysis video on him sometime here soon. But number 4, Luis Perez. Coming in at number 3, this is where things start to get a little controversial, if you may say. For the Seattle Sea Dragons, I have Ben DINUCCI coming in at number 3. Now, I know a lot of y'all may be saying, Cullen, he led the league in passing yards. He led the league in passing completions. This, that, whatever. It was under June Jones, passing offense legend. Any quarterback in that passing system is going to put up good passing yards. they tried to pass the most of any team in the league. So statistically saying, you can still not hit a lot of them, and you're still going to complete more and put more yards up than a better quarterback for a team that didn't pass as much. Do you see what I'm saying about that? I feel like nobody is talking about it, but I'm saying it right here. I'm not saying that DINUCCI is a bad quarterback at all. I'm ranking him at number 3, all right? But he is not the best quarterback in the league. He is not. For the season, he put up 242 for 374 on completions. 374 attempts is the most of any quarterback in the league. 2,671 yards. Okay, he attempted the most passes. 23 touchdowns and 13 interceptions. And 3 rushing touchdowns and 305 rushing yards. Look, I have a lot of respect for Ben. He's a great guy. I think he's a competitor. He's an athlete. He can use both his arm and his legs. And he got signed by the Denver Broncos. So congrats to him. But by no means is he the best quarterback in the XFL. And I will argue with anyone on that. He simply is not. He lost the Seattle Sea Dragons games because of his turnovers, both on the ground and in the air. If he didn't have that issue, Seattle would have, they probably may have still lost to DC, but they wouldn't have been in that situation, that tiebreaker situation with St. Louis. I guarantee you that. And two, I give DINUCCI credit. He got hot at the end of the season. He looked really good at the end of the season. But there's also people saying he was an MVP or Offensive Player of the Year. No. He wasn't that good, but he's still good enough to be number 3. You know, I think for what he did with Seattle, he brought them back after a rough start. I still have a lot of respect for that, and he had great performances against like Vegas in Week 3 where he threw 4 touchdowns. But he also had a lot of games where he threw 1 touchdown, 1 interception, and that was it. You know, so to me, that's not the best quarterback in the league. I have 2 more quarterbacks who I think are a lot better than Ben DINUCCI. But you know, he may say with the I think he'll say with the Broncos. So this may be the last time we ever see DINUCCI in the XFL. But he had a good stint, but by no means is he the best. I just want to make that clear. But at number 3, I have Ben DINUCCI. Muscling in at number 2, we have the Offensive Player of the Year for the 2023 XFL season. Number 10 for the DC Defenders, one of my favorites, Jordan Ta'amu. Now, this was the best I've ever seen Ta'amu play. All right, I saw him play in 2020 with the Battlehawks. He was still young and raw, but he made plays. He looked really good behind P.J. Walker, was the number 1 quarterback in 2020. But Ta'amu was getting there. Then in 2022, he played for the USFL, the Tampa Bay Bandits. All right, he looked okay there, but it was just a bad team and bad coaching staff. But things finally came together for him in DC. He led them to a 9-1 record. Coach Barlow made a beast out of the man. First of all, Barlow, shout out to him, Coach of the Year. He made a great coaching staff in DC, and I think it showed. You know, it showed. You had Lucky Jackson leading the team, and Ta'amu just really made those receivers look a lot better when you have guys like Josh Gordon. These guys put up better stats than like Josh Gordon. That's awesome, and I think I attribute that a lot to Ta'amu. He got on his feet a lot. He moved his feet, whether throwing on the run. He had a lot of good running passes for touchdowns, or getting first downs with his feet. He was powering through defenders. He was like hit-sticking the defenders. And you could tell he put on some good pounds of muscle, too. And I think that all just came together for him having a great year. So when it comes to his stats, keep in mind, he's only 25 years old, and he's doing all this. He went 143 for 229 on completions, threw for 1,894 yards, throwing for 14 touchdowns and 8 interceptions with 3 rushing touchdowns. This is playoffs included, so keep that in mind, not just regular season, playoffs included. Oh, man, he looked good. It's the best I've ever seen him. It absolutely is. And 2, he outperformed DINUCCI in that week 8 game where Ta'amu threw for 4 touchdowns and no interceptions. I'm telling you, if Ta'amu comes back, which I don't think he is, I think he's going to get picked up by an NFL team sometime here soon. He's going to only get better. He's 25 years old. His potential is, in my opinion, the highest in the league. I know I was talking about D'Eriq King and Jack Coan, but Ta'amu, when it comes to age and skill and physical ability, yeah, Jordan takes that prize because, man, he's just going to keep getting better. Better and better and better. I hope he comes back to the XFL so he can actually play and refine those skills and not just sit on a bench or a practice squad, which sadly would more than likely be the case for him if he went to the NFL. But number 2, Jordan Ta'amu, he was almost a number 1, but I'm going to tell you who the number 1 guy is right here. And finally, the moment we've all been waiting for, the number 1 quarterback in the XFL, in my opinion, and I will back this up like I said, 150% I will back this up. For the St. Louis Battlehawks, the most experienced quarterback in the league, quarterback A.J. McCarron. I have nothing but great things to say about him. First of all, not just because he played for the Houston Texans. I know he played for the Texans, but I'm a Roughnecks fan, not as so much a Texans fan, even though I followed them. Anyways, the stats he put up prove that he's the number 1 quarterback. All right, the leadership, number 1 quarterback. And just the overall way he carried himself was the looks of a number 1 quarterback. Let me just show you the stats. 203 for 295 on completions. You kidding me? 2,150 yards. He breaks the 2,000 mark. 24 touchdowns and 6 interceptions. It's ball game right there. 24 touchdowns and 6 interceptions. That is the best quarterback, in my opinion, and the completions looked really good. You had a guy like Hakeem Butler, and McCarron utilized Hakeem perfectly, especially in the end zone. And McCarron even got 1 rushing touchdown. I was actually surprised to see that. But McCarron was actually my pick for the XFL MVP. I'll probably do a video on that later, like dive deeper into who actually should be the MVP. I'll try to figure that out. That should be a good video. But McCarron, he was just smart with the ball. He was very smart with the ball the whole season. Sure, he had like 1 bad game, but besides that, he was carving up even the best defenses in the league. Like, you knew he was going to perform well. Besides that 1 game, I think it was like week 9 or something. The leadership I see with him, especially in that I'm remembering it. The week 1 comeback against San Antonio could not have been done without A.J. McCarron. All right? That experience he had, he's 32 years old. He has 9 years of NFL experience. He's won national championships at Alabama. All of that came out here with St. Louis. He looked very, very good. And then he had the best game ever, I think, out of any quarterback this season. Week 10 against Orlando, where he threw for 420 yards, 6 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. That was a playoff game, essentially. They were playing to try and beat this Seattle tiebreaker, and he showed out and performed like a MVP. That's why I have him at number 1. Now, is he going to come back next year? I think he will. He sort of did hint on Twitter that he is going to run it back for St. Louis next year. And if he does, it's just going to be more of the same. He should be the star of the XFL, and the XFL is really pushing him for good reason because he's just so good. And for that reason, I think sort of my early 2024 XFL Offensive Player of the Year prediction is going to have to be A.J. McCarron, all right, because I was just so impressed with him. Great decision-making. I know a lot of people didn't really care for him, but the stats don't lie. The record doesn't lie. He played 1 heck of a season, so that's why A.J. McCarron, in my opinion, is the number 1 quarterback in the XFL. But, hey, that concludes my rankings. This was a fun video to make. It was a lot of research into it, but I like researching this stuff. So, hey, tell me in the comments down below, what else should I research next or, rank next? I'm thinking about possibly, ranking maybe defenses or, I don't know. I have a lot of stuff cooked up for y'all, player profiles, analysis, all that stuff, so you don't have any XFL, what's it called? So you're not craving XFL as much this offseason. I'm going to try and feed y'all some stuff just to keep y'all thinking and whatnot. So if you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe button. Leave a comment down below if you agree or disagree with anything I've said in this video. And remember, rough them up, baby. Go Roughnecks. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you on the next video.